All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's a little overview of the U.S. Constitution for you in American government class. So, start off, you'll be getting your own copy of the Constitution in class, and we will use off and on over the course of the semester. I'll give you guys a paper one. You can also download to your phone or iPod. There's a free app called Constitution Federalist Papers. Do it if you want to. It's a good chance to search it. Also, I have a PDF version available to you guys as well that you can actually search using Control F. That works really, really nicely too. But we'll give you a copy of the Constitution. We'll use it in class. We'll do some different activities with it later on as we go through stuff. So first off, this why Constitution? So in 1783, the Revolutionary War was all done. And the United States is basically a very loose confederation of states. We're not one country. We're 13 individual countries kind of working together, all right? Each little country or state, you will, had their own government system, their own economic structure, their own currency, their own laws. I mean, it was all totally different, okay? The idea here was that the states had all the power. All the power went to the states because they were so afraid of one big central power getting too much authority, just like they claim happened in Britain. So the central government, called the Articles of Confederation, was super, super weak. I mean, they could do next to nothing. They couldn't make taxes. They couldn't really make a true law. They could maybe do some work with tariffs and foreign relations. That was honestly about it. So things aren't going so hot. Okay, the economy is not doing very, very well. There's a lot of issues and problems with trying to pay back debt from the Revolutionary War. Soldiers aren't getting paid. There are all kinds of issues going on here. So in the summer of 1787, 42 delegates, well, 55 delegates meet. 42 are really there. A whole other story, okay? At Independence Hall in Philadelphia, PA, right over here, all right? And where the little mouse cursor is, and they start talking about what to do. Some people argue what they try to do. Some people argue they went there to revise the Constitution. Other people say they went there with the purpose of making a brand new Constitution. But they sat there all summer, and it was pretty much, pretty secret because they were, what they were doing could be considered, treason in some ways, all right? And what they did was they sat down and they outlined a government that would be a constitutional democracy. I have a lot of features to it that would make a government they thought would not get corrupt, that would share the power between states and federal government, okay? And then they took a lot of ideas from the Baron Montesquieu, a French writer, about making a government that had three parts to it. And so I'm going to kind of go through those three parts for you guys here. Well, part one of the Constitution itself is a preamble, all right? And so the preamble is essentially the thesis statement of the Constitution. It basically says what the goals of the Constitution are, okay? And it says, here's what this government made by we the people want to do, okay? We're going to establish a union, states that work together. We're going to establish justice and domestic tranquility. So we're going to have a peaceful place where things are equal, everyone gets their fair share. We'll work together for the common defense of the country. We're going to promote the general welfare of all people and ensure the blessing of liberty for everybody. And that's what this government is supposed to do according to the preamble. Now, after that is the articles. There are 7 articles in the Constitution. So we'll go through these all more individually as we go through the Constitution over the course of the semester here. Mostly Article 1, after we get through our committee meetings. But so we have Articles 1, 2, or 3 are the real meat of the Constitution. These articles essentially create the government, the legislative or Congress, executive, president, and judicial Supreme Court branches of the Constitution. This is what makes the Constitution happen, all right? Articles 4, 5, 6, and 7 go more through the ideas of ratification. So how will we approve the Constitution, right? How will we amend or change the Constitution? How will we add new states to the Constitution? And how will we share power back and forth between the two? For record, ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution is not a list of laws. The Constitution is called the law of the land because it's how all other laws are made. It explains essentially how our government works. And that's why it's called the law of the land. It's not a law. People might say something's unconstitutional, but saying unconstitutional is not unlawful. The idea is more that you can't make that law. And if government is going outside its ability or its permission, if you will, to make laws. Um, all laws are passed by the legislature, okay? However, they must fit within the limits designed by the Constitution. That includes state laws, too. And so there's this idea called the supremacy clause that in the end, the Constitution is kind of always right. And that's kind of where that part falls to. Part 3 of the Constitution is the amendment. So what's kind of cool with the Constitution is that it is a living document. The document literally changes. It can change today. It can change tomorrow. It has changed 26, 27 times since it was adopted over 200 years ago. And that's kind of cool is that it can change because of how time goes. Was it designed that way? We're not sure. When they designed it, this was an experiment. Nobody had ever done this before. So maybe they're like, hey, you know what? Let's put a little clause in that says if we mess up, we can fix it. Hey, it worked out, all right? If you want to try and make an amendment to the Constitution, it must be approved by 2/3 of both houses of Congress and then also ratified by 3/4 of the states. It is very, very hard to make an amendment, which is why there have only been 27 since the Constitution was signed. You said, and the first 10 amendments are actually the Bill of Rights, which we'll talk more about later on over the course of this year. Well, this part was actually written by James Madison at the end of the convention. Like I said, the question was living document, which is what it become now. They really did such a good job creating a government. They had pretty weak citizen protection, so there's a lot of fighting about the Constitution when it was passed. It's kind of where you develop our first political parties: those who wanted the Constitution, the Federalists; those who didn't want the Anti-Federalists. And so one of the things they were fighting about was the idea of, well, do we protect individual citizen rights? And so that amendment process allowed that to happen. And so those first 10 amendments really helped to protect those rights. So here's some examples of the ways the Constitution has changed. There have been constitution change of slavery and female suffrage, allowing 18, 19, 20-year-olds to vote in the 26th Amendment. The last amendment was ratified in 1992, I believe, if I remember right. It involves pay of Congress. It says that Congress can give themselves a pay raise, but that pay raise does not take effect until the year after. Ha, ha, ha. And so that's kind of why I put it in that way. Now, obviously, we see what the Constitution is, and it actually helps lay out our lawmaking process. So until here is how we're going to make laws in our government class. First of all, you got to get a problem to start out with, okay? You got to find some kind of problem that is there. So I want you guys to take 30 seconds, okay? Well, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever. What makes you mad? Write it right in your paper, okay? Just think about yourself. What makes you angry? Think about what maybe is not working right now. What things might be frustrating you, okay? About how things work. Are you doing it? Are you? Seriously, do this. Okay. We have 10 seconds left. 5 seconds left. I hope you get a list of things that are mad. Hopefully it's not me. And so we did a list of things that upset you and get you mad, and that's what we started doing in class with the issue deck day was, what problems are there? You now have a list of citizen concerns. On the board in class, that little yellow piece of paper, we have a whole mess of citizen concerns. Everything from protection of lakes to immigration, LGBT rights. We have a lot of stuff going on there, okay? Inspiration comes from almost everything, ladies and gentlemen. There are almost always bills pending in the House and Senate in Washington. Also, there are also bills pending in Madison, in the Capitol there. But they'll get it, when you're a representative. We're hopefully bring our state rep in and talk to us about this. They get ideas from news clippings and phone calls, letters from lobbyists and regular citizens. They get lots of requests to change existing laws. They get requests from other organizations. Those interest groups make a lot of as well. So they get a lot of inspirational legislation from a lot of different places to make things happen. So here's how laws are made. So it starts here with, obviously, we have our bill starting here in terms of where the idea comes from, whether it be from the rep or the state or the people or the president. And so it must be introduced, must argue to actually introduce this whole idea. A bill then gets assigned to a committee, okay, and put on a calendar. So they go through it, they read through, they have hearings, they mark up the bill, they figure out what's going on with the bill, okay. They then, go to a calendar. It then gets debated and amended over the course of a committee meeting. It then goes through the budget process, see how much it's going to cost, and eventually gets introduced in the full session, debated, and voted on. The part that happens in the actual hall of Congress is very, very little right here. Okay, very, very little. All right, most of the work on a bill comes ahead of time. The committee work, putting the bill together, the idea of organizing, writing the bill, all those things happen right back here. The part we see a lot of times is right here, that little itty bitty part. There are different bills that are coded; they get a number all the time. So HB or HR is going to be a House bill. S is going to be a Senate bill. In our class here, HB will be a House bill. AB will be an Assembly bill. That'll be for a state law. The Senate also does things too. They have a committee member, committee work where they mark a bill through a committee. It has to get through the idea of committee. Has to get through what we call enrollment. They have the final approval by the budget, that kind of stuff, and go through the process of being approved in the Senate right here as well. Eventually, after they put all the bills together through what's called a conference committee, the two sides will actually meet together and hash out the two different versions of the bill between the Senate and the Assembly. Eventually, it's approved by the president and published into law. At any point throughout this process, an idea can die. Committee assignment. If nobody picks it up for a committee, that bill dies. If it doesn't pass committee work, that bill dies. And so a bill can die at any point over the course of this time. So here we have this idea coming through here again with how you see a little simpler version of this whole idea here, right? To where they suggest it, they have to approve it, sign it, and pass it later on. If a bill is vetoed by the president, they can get overturned by 2/3 vote. We'll talk more about that when we get to the idea of the Constitution. A couple of things we have in a bill, ladies and gentlemen. First off, must be sponsors of a bill. That's people who write the bill. Those are your bill sponsors. So you guys will be sponsoring your own bills as we go on here later on. All bills have to follow the Constitution. There is a team of lawyers. Yes, there's a team of lawyers who look through bills and make sure that laws are all legal. Unfortunately, I do not have a team of lawyers for you. You are the team of lawyers, ladies and gentlemen, so you have to figure that stuff out for yourselves this time around, okay? The committee are really gatekeepers. The committees are the ones who kind of filter out the really bad bills, if you will, okay? And committees are those who are experts. So if you're an expert in foreign affairs, you'll be on Foreign Affairs Committee. If you're a military guy, you'll be on the Military Committee. If you are a farmer, you'll be in the Agriculture Committee. And so those committee people are experts on their bills. And yes, it must be passed in both houses and avoid that presidential veto to become a bill. Guys, we're going to do a lot more of this week and next week. So please have these notes done for me by Thursday. That'd be great. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in class.